Greetings, everyone, and welcome. Everyone in Professor Gertis's community and in my community as well. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Let's jump straight in because a lot has happened today, not only in Ukraine, but also in other places of the world that can affect Ukraine, and we need to talk about it. So I do have Prof. Zelensky's evening statement. I pulled out a quick clip of that. We've got good news from President Zelensky tonight.
That's good to hear.
That's good to hear. Additionally, we also have what I'm going to call some interesting remarks to Kellogg that Ukraine is talking about right now and completely not understanding and disagreeing with. Additionally, we've had some statements from Vladimir Putin, statements from Donald Trump, and of course, the Marco Rubio greeting today on Russia Day. A lot of fallout still happening from that, and we're going to jump straight into it. Are you ready?
Yeah. So before you do that, let's talk about your Rubio thing. So I watched your video on Rubio. It was very well done, handled very well. I talked about Rubio as well. He's such a disappointment. But the greater narrative here, I think, is that it just shows that the United States has really taken a very different position than the United States took during the Biden administration. I mean, I think it's very clear. There's very little evidence that shows that Trump is going to zag. He can zag, but there's very little evidence that showed that he's doing anything but zigging and zigging and zigging and zigging toward Russia. And this was just another piece of evidence in that long trail.
Well, as always, when I'm your guest, you don't pre-prep me typically. And when I'm recording, I mean, it's not really a guest, we're partnering. I don't tell you what's coming. And you just prophetically spoke about something we're probably going to discuss in the next 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And you may not have seen this, but the foreign minister of Ukraine replied to Rubio. No.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah. So you guys get ready. I've got the video coming. So let's start. Let's start with some good news, everybody. Zelensky on Sumy. He had about a 3-minute address tonight, very short, talking about meetings with Germany and other things and just standard greeting, encouraging the Ukrainians. But here's one piece for you. Sumy's been the most difficult front next to Pokrovsk, Toretsk, and tonight, listen to Zelensky. Today, Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi reported on the front line, first and foremost the Pokrovsk direction, the Kursk operation, in the border area of the Sumy region. And our units in the Sumy region are gradually pushing the occupier back. So thank you. I thank every one of our soldiers, our sergeants, and officers for this result. Every unit. There you go. So I just clipped. That's good news. And if you guys are wondering, you don't know where we're talking about this area right here. Russia's been coming hard. Ukraine now pushing back. And this is the updated air alarm, Donetsk, and pushing into Dnepropetrovsk region.
So they haven't been able to really get past any trench lines, as I understand. I mean, it's been like open fields and houses and things along those lines. So you kind of expect them to do it, but it's good to see that they've been pushed back as well. So it's good to get encouraging news from the front lines periodically.
It's extremely rural up there. I spend a lot of time up there. In fact, Jenya, I'm going to have him on here, and we're going to do a full frontline breakdown. But foresty, hilly, small villages between the Russian border and Sumy. You just come through so much rural, and then boom, this big city's there. So that's accurate. Now, here's a story that's not being covered very much outside of Ukraine because it was written on Ukrainian publications. Not seeing it anywhere else, but Ukrainians are not happy about it because I think they understand American history better than Americans. It's quite possible. Take a peek at this. Couple of headlines here. U.S. President's envoy Kellogg says he urged Trump to consider challenges Zelensky had to face. Another headline, an article, U.S. President's envoy Kellogg says he compared Zelensky to Lincoln when talking to Trump. And Kellogg said during a speech at the German Marshall Fund in Brussels, he told Trump that we haven't seen an American president since Abraham Lincoln that's had to do what President Zelensky has done. Now, okay, Ukrainians do not like this. I do not like this. Let me tell you why, and I'll get your response. Ukraine is not fighting a civil war. It is not a divided nation. It was invaded by a foreign nation. And to make that comparison, as the envoy to Ukraine, and the Ukrainians know American history, that was a civil war time, a president trying to reunite a nation, not defend an invading nation. And they're not happy about it.
So analogies are by definition not perfect representations of reality, right? An analogy breaks down at the point where, like, I can create an analogy, compare you to a orange or an apple, right? But a certain place, it just doesn't work. Okay. I don't think Kellogg, I could be wrong. I don't think Kellogg was thinking that deeply about that it was a civil war. I think he was just thinking, hey, who's a great leader and statesman who, I could be wrong, but that's what my read was. It didn't even occur to me. Like, I was like, well, yeah, okay. So Lincoln had to put up with a lot and endure a lot, and he had fortitude and perseverance. Okay. Until you just said what you said, I didn't even think about it in that regard. So I'm guessing that that's the way he was meaning it.
I am
again,
sure
I could be
is
totally wrong.
I'm not attacking Kellogg at all. I mean, Lincoln did a phenomenal job, but the reality is Ukrainians are very intelligent, and they look at it differently.
Yeah, I get that, and I can see what you're saying now, but I wouldn't have picked up on that at all. I mean, I might have made that kind of comparison, and I wouldn't have known that that's what they would be seeing. So, okay, what you got next?
All right. Today we've heard from President Trump that he is disappointed in Russia and Ukraine. He's also gloating about Pakistan and India, and he's confused on Israel and Iran. I'm going to play the video clip. I'm going to then follow it up by another clip. And we just need to remember it's this disappointed word because it's going to come back from Subiga, the foreign minister of Ukraine, in regard to Rubio. So here it is. Here's the clip.
I'm very disappointed in Russia, but I'm disappointed in Ukraine also, because I think deals could have been made. And, we're losing 6,000 people a week, soldiers mostly, but also people living in towns because they're getting hit by missiles again. How'd you like to live in a building and you think a missile has a good chance of hitting your building during the evening? It's horrible. Must be horrible to live like that. But, we'll get it, but it's, I'm disappointed that it's not done. We did great with India and Pakistan. We did very good with Israel. I thought, look, October 7th was a disaster. People forget, they like to forget. That was a horrible thing. But, none of these things would have happened if I were president.
Okay. So, listen. Ukraine has done everything possible, offering full unconditional ceasefire to make a deal. There's nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, what else could Ukraine possibly do here?
Nothing.
I mean, I can't see anything that they could do other than simply give up. I mean, but what else could they possibly do? They're doing everything that he's asked them to do. So this bull-siding is very frustrating.
It's very frustrating. And additionally, he also made the statement of how well the United States has done with India and Pakistan, and then also how well we're doing with Iran and Israel.
He might be eating that one, because like there's a lot going on with Israel and Iran right now, like just getting ready to pop off. I mean, it's looking.
Well, once again, there you go. You lead me right into it. Let's go to this.
I'm a quick study. I think.
Mr. President, Mr. President, how imminent is an Israeli strike on Iran?
Well, I don't want to say imminent, but it looks like it's something that could very well happen. Look, it's very simple, not complicated. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Other than that, I want them to be successful. I want them to be tremendous. We'll help them be successful. We'll trade with them. We'll do whatever is necessary.
Now, I will tell you that question came right on the heels of him saying the success in Iran. And, I'm on top of that news as well in the Middle East with my friends there, and it's not good. We're looking at imminent big war. Yeah. But it's disappointing, honestly. And I don't know about you, but I'm disgusted with this.
I understand.
I'm disgusted with it. Let's continue.
But Trump's taking victory laps over everything. So
over everything. On the right is Andrei Subiga. He is the foreign minister of Ukraine. And on the left there, of course, is Marco Rubio. And we've discussed him in earlier videos today. So if you guys missed that, you can see that on Prof's channel or mine. But this was the problem. On behalf of the American people, I want to congratulate the Russian people on Russia Day. The United States remains committed to supporting the Russian people as they continue to build on their aspirations for a brighter future. We also take this opportunity to reaffirm the United States' desire for constructive engagement with the Russian Federation to bring about a durable peace between Russia and Ukraine. It is our hope that peace will foster more mutually beneficial relations between our countries. You know, that's just not my statement. You can't speak on my behalf.
You did
with
a good
that
job
statement.
in your earlier video today, where you were talking about they linked that to Putin talking about how it's, and what is this brighter future? It's immortality. And what's that? How do you get that? By victory. Well,
Correct.
Okay, so they haven't shed their imperial. This was the thesis of my video this morning, was that the problem's Russia. It's not about Ukraine. It's about Russia. They haven't shed their imperial ambitions. And so it just in the same way that World War II kicked off with Poland, but it wasn't about Poland. Poland just happened to be there. It was about Germany. And that's where we are with Ukraine and Russia today, in that same kind of scenario. So
I was going to translate a video because today on Russia Day, you know, all the famous buildings like in India, some tall religious tower there, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, all these buildings that are so tall and famous in Asia and the Middle East are all being lit up tonight in red, white, and blue, not American, but the Russian flag, celebrating Russia Day. Okay. And today, Putin, when he was in all these meetings and speeches, and he had a veteran of World War II come up and give a little speech. And the guy said, Napoleon couldn't get us, Hitler couldn't get us, and nobody's going to get us today. We're going to win everything. And Putin come up and shook his hand, comrade, and everybody's cheering. So it's not just Putin,
the mentality.
It's the mentality. Now,
and I get what Rubio is trying to do. Rubio is trying to be diplomatic, and you're at the head of the State Department, but at the same time, like, it's weird. It's off key. It's like if you had a day to celebrate kids sports, that's one thing. If you have a day to celebrate kidnappers, that's something entirely different, right?
100% agree.
So
and
that's kind of where we are.
Well, let's take it straight from a source, guys. Let's hear from the foreign minister of Ukraine, Subiga. As a minister of a country at war, it was especially unpleasant for me this morning to read public congratulations from some countries to the Russian aggressor, who publicly congratulated Russia on its national holiday. There can be no reward for aggression. There can be no reward for the aggressor country. I mean, hello.
Yeah, but that's what we've been doing. We've been rewarding aggression. Our incentive structure has been all wrong. We've not been sanctioning where we should be applying extra pressure to Russia. And we're talking about, like, well, what if Ukraine did something too? What more can it do?
Well, I'm going to tell you, well, it's like in that statement earlier, I meant to bring out one more point and I didn't, but Donald Trump said, you know, the missiles are starting to fly again. And how would you like to live under missile attacks every night and the possibility your building could be hit? I would just like to let him know that missile attacks have never stopped.
Yeah.
They haven't started again. They've never stopped. So in case President Trump, you're watching this later between Prof and I, they've never stopped, sir.
By the way, it's been ridiculously low the last 2 days of Shahed drone attacks, like in the 60s. So they're saving up for a rainy day, I think.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Right now, they're making modifications on those air bases in Kursk, and there's a new one on the Kerch Bridge. As soon as you come across the Kerch Bridge there into Crimea, they've modified a civilian airfield to turn it into a Shahed launcher with concrete bunkers and everything. So it's coming. It's coming. Now, why is it coming? It's coming because Donald Trump asked the question today, why hate on Russia? You have to see it to hear. You got to believe it. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh.
Macron, who's a good man, I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "We're celebrating World War II, our victory." I said, "Your victory? Your victory? Tell me about that." And then I called somebody else, and I happened to speak to President Putin at the time. Now, in all fairness to him, he lost 51 million people, and he did fight. Russia fought. Sort of interesting, isn't it? He fought with us in World War II, and everybody hates him. And Germany and Japan, they're fine. You know, someday somebody will explain that, but I like Germany and Japan too. But Putin is a little confused by that, you know. He said, we lost 51 million people, and we were your ally. And now everybody hates Russia, and they love Germany and Japan. I said, let's explain that sometime, okay? But it's a
strange world, he says.
Okay, I'd like to explain that. Pick me.
Okay, sir, you explain it, and then...
Yeah, thank you.
I'm
So
gonna explain
Germany
it.
and Japan stopped their imperialistic ways by necessity. I mean, they were gutted from being imperialist. Like, take all their weapons away, make the way to path, the high path in the German army, which was utterly reduced, was through bureaucracy, not through combat arms. And then in Japan, they did the same kind of thing there. I mean, but totally demilitarized. And now they're remilitarizing to deal with the threat of the imperialist country that hasn't had that stripped away, which is Russia, that's the only country that everybody's worried about. Nobody's like, you know what if Japan, what if Denmark, like nobody's doing that.
It's
right?
Greenland and the penguins on the island down there.
It's all Russia all the time. Okay, there's also the U.S. saber rattling about Greenland, Canada, and Panama. But I mean, over in Europe, it's all, they're only looking at Russia.
Okay,
so,
well,
and that's because they still have that imperialist streak, and nobody's ever defanged them.
But let's even go deeper. Are you ready? He just said Putin lost 51 million.
Oh, okay.
Russia,
I mean,
just hang on. Russia lost 51 million. Okay, so first of all, Mr. President, it wasn't Russia. It was the USSR. Not just Russians fought. Many Ukrainians died, and a large part of Ukraine was occupied, including Kyiv. Secondly, and I looked this up in 10 different sources before we got together on this video. The USSR World War II losses are estimated to be around 27 million people, not 51 million. Fact, directly out of Russian Moscow Statistics, Institute for the Study of World War II, and every other source that I can identify on the planet. Confirmed.
Do you really think correcting Trump's numbers about anything is is something that
he's a liar?
I mean, he also says $300 billion regularly. I mean,
okay, my video yesterday. No, it's 350 billion we gave Ukraine. And then he says yesterday, oh, it's not about the money. You know, I just made 5.1 trillion in Qatar. Okay,
I'm just saying
he gets
the numbers wrong regularly, so I wouldn't hold him to that. The real story there.
But why not? He's a liar.
Hold on. The real story there is that the Russians fought so poorly because they had just lopped off their military heads because Stalin was afraid of them, and they used terrible tactics, and they didn't value life the same way. And so, I mean, you can go on and on. That's like the least important thing, what Trump was just saying. Anyway,
then we view that completely different.
Yeah,
he is probably the president of the United States.
Yeah, no, he should get it right. I agree. He should get it right. But that's the least problematic part of that. They lost all those people because of the terrible ways that they fought war, because they thought they had an alliance with the Nazis, which they shouldn't have had. Like there's like,
but you got to go historically. They were killing their own people. If you want to get down to the facts of it, starving their own people. And this is who we're trying to be friends with, and why blame them now? It doesn't work that way.
Hitler was a vegetarian, but that's not really the story, is it? Right? So
agreed, but
you're on the majors.
But I'm telling you right now, okay, there is no excuse, in my opinion, for the president of the United States to ever just make up numbers.
Oh no, but I mean, I agree. So what? I mean, this is where he's constantly been, and this is why.
But you say so what?
When he No. What I'm saying, he's not going to be trusted for what he's saying because he says stuff like this regularly. But that's not the big story to what he was talking about. We're focusing on the minor. The major is they got hammered. And the Russians talk about it like we did so much because we lost so many. You lost so many because you fought badly. That's the real story there. That's why, like, you fought badly. You shouldn't have had that agreement with the Nazis. You shouldn't have lopped off the top generals, that sort of thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
I understand that and completely agree with that. I just see it as Trump glorifies basically a double number over reality and puts it like Russia did this greater sacrifice. Why blame Putin? Hey, he lost 51 million. Okay.
Well, Putin was in charge, apparently.
Well, I get it, but I'm just, so we're trying to look at why everybody around the world is so angry, so upset, whether you're a Democrat, a conservative, middle of the road, extreme left, extreme right. Why are we so? Because the man does nothing but lie. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. He does nothing but lie.
I don't know that he's even lying. I think he might even be just ill-informed. Like, I'm not sure. That he's
fair enough on that.
Trying to make that up. I just think he doesn't know.
Okay,
like, and that's not defending him. I'm just saying, like,
he doesn't know.
That's hardly the important part of this. The important part of this is that they got hammered because of other factors, and he's somehow equating that to something bigger. I don't get it. Anyway, you had more here to
No, that was where I wanted to bring us to. The bottom line is, I personally believe that today, although we got some good news from President Zelenskyy tonight, I'm very thankful that Ukraine is able to push out and push back on the Russians in Sumy. But in general, just not a good day for Ukraine psychologically. When you see buildings lit up all over the world in Russian colors, you have the Secretary of State congratulating them, and you have the President of the United States asking, what's the problem with Putin? I mean,
yeah,
so they lost 51 million.
Yeah, on Russia Day, that's when you trip over the line to 1 million. 1 million casualties.
Correct.
On Russia Day. Like, I don't know that that's very good psychologically for the Russians. Like, now, I don't know that that's going to change anything with Putin. In fact, I don't think it will. I think it's a psychological number that affects us, but I don't think it affects the Russians.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Because that's the way that they value life. And that's what I was trying to say earlier with World War II. It's the same stuff. Nothing has really changed.
Agreed. So, hope you guys enjoy it when Prof and I, because we see so many things so similar, especially in our backgrounds, but then we'll go at it, man, on some different things. We look at just a little different nuance. So hope you're able to gather and learn as we learn from each other. I will say this. Today,
I want to say this. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just want to say for the record that it's perfectly fine if Greg is wrong. I still like him.
And I am more than willing to learn from Prof. Gerdes and anybody out there where we can work together and come together. Now, I will tell you this.
People can disagree without being disagreeable. Like, look, at the end of the day, you see it that way, I see it this way, but okay. So what?
It's
so
just
now
like
we've expanded our pool of how we're
Bassett and Musk. They can get in the White House, disagree, and there's no rugby tackles or left hooks thrown. Everything's good.
I'm not. Is that a real story? The
I believe it is.
Thing? Yeah, I can't really. I didn't talk about that the black eye thing because the sources that I saw, I don't know that I trust to be able to bring that out.
No, I wouldn't.
And if it is, man,
that's
just crazy stuff.
It's pretty funny. I will tell you guys this, okay? And I can't share this picture, but I've actually got the real picture. The millionth casualty today was eliminated, trying to use very precise, kind words here, by Kraken, one of the elite units that we help and support, and the 6 guys that, and you don't know if it's the millionth or millionth one, but they calculated it as the millionth. They're standing there with the millionth casualty and say, we're just going to keep fighting and defend our land. You better stop coming.
No, and they are going to keep fighting. They're going to keep defending their land. Ukraine is again, my thesis in my morning video was that Ukraine, it's not about Ukraine. It's about Russia, and Russia's just until we wrap that around our heads, our analysis is going to be all wrong, I think. So
perfectly stated. And I think that's a great place to close, because that's the statement I can 1,000,000% agree with you on. And I think Rubio demonstrated today that by his statement, we're looking at the wrong place the wrong way. And Russia is the aggressor. Russia is the invader. Russia is committing crimes. Ukraine is defending their sovereignty and their freedom. It's a pretty easy story.
Yep.
Thank you,
All right,
Prof.
Greg. Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for the time.
Have a great evening.